Black CEO stops her interview mid-sentence. You broke my heart at 16, now you're begging for position in my company. The glass elevator climbed toward the 42nd floor of Pierce Industries in downtown Chicago, and 26-year-old Savannah Mitchell checked her reflection one last time. Her blonde hair fell in perfect waves past her shoulders. Her navy blazer hugged her frame with tailored precision, and her emerald eyes sparkled with the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. This interview was a formality. Senior creative director at one of the fastest-growing tech companies in America? She was born for this. The reception area screamed success. Marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan, modern art that probably cost 6 figures. Savannah signed in at the sleek desk, noting the company's logo etched in brushed steel. Pierce Industries. She'd researched obsessively. Founded 7 years ago by some tech prodigy who'd built an empire from nothing. Impressive, she'd thought, though she'd never bothered learning much about the CEO personally. Ms. Mitchell, a receptionist with a warm smile, gestured toward the hallway. Mr. Pierce will see you now. Savannah stood, smoothing invisible wrinkles from her skirt. Her heels clicked confidently against the floor as she followed down a corridor lined with photos of company milestones and team achievements. Her phone buzzed. Her best friend Riley. You're gonna kill it. They'd be crazy not to hire you. Savannah grinned. Of course they'd hire her. Northwestern graduate, 5 years at top advertising firms. A portfolio that made creative directors weep with envy. She was the complete package. The receptionist opened double doors to a corner office with panoramic city views. He'll be right with you. Savannah stepped inside, taking in the space. Minimalist desk, bookshelves lined with industry awards, framed articles from Forbes and Fast Company. She set her leather portfolio down and walked to the windows, watching sailboats dot the lake below. This was the life she deserved, the life she'd worked for. Her parents had raised her in Winnetka, one of Chicago's wealthiest suburbs, where success wasn't just expected, it was inherited. Her father ran a private equity firm. Her mother sat on charity boards. And Savannah had learned early that the world divided into 2 types of people, those who mattered and those who didn't. The door opened behind her. Savannah turned with her practiced smile, hand extended for a professional shake, her rehearsed greeting ready, but the words died in her throat. Standing in the doorway, dressed in an immaculate charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, holding a tablet with the kind of presence that commanded rooms, was someone she never expected to see again. Someone whose face had haunted her guilty conscience for 10 years. Someone who was supposed to stay invisible, stay in the past, stay forgotten. Darius Pierce, the black boy from the South Side, the scholarship kid from Inglewood, the boy Savannah had humiliated in front of the entire junior class at Lakeview Prep when they were both 16. The boy whose heart she'd shattered without a second thought because he dared to ask her to prom. Except Darius wasn't a boy anymore. He was the CEO, and Savannah wasn't here as the girl who got to decide who was worthy. She was here begging for a position in his company. CTA. Hello, the Shade of Love family. So happy you're here. Before we jump into the next part of the story, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your country and state in the comments. Also, how's the story been so far? We love reading your thoughts. Yes, every single comment. And it really keeps us motivated. Let's aim for 50 comments on this video. Think we can hit it? Your support means the world, so don't forget to comment, share, and keep the energy flowing. 10 years earlier, Lakeview Prep had been Savannah's kingdom. At 16, she ruled the hallways with the casual cruelty of someone who'd never questioned her place in the world. Daughter of Richard and Victoria Mitchell, raised in a mansion overlooking Lake Michigan, Savannah wore her privilege like armor. And in her world, people like Darius Pierce didn't belong. He'd transferred in sophomore year, one of 3 scholarship students from Southside neighborhoods. Savannah noticed him immediately, not because he stood out, but because he didn't fit. His clothes were clean but clearly not designer, his backpack was worn, and he carried himself with the quiet dignity of someone used to being underestimated. Why do they even let scholarship kids in here? Savannah's friend Paige had whispered during lunch. They sat at their usual table by the windows, the popular crowd's territory. Darius sat alone near the back, eating while reading a book about computer programming. Savannah shrugged, picking at her salad. Makes the school look diverse for college applications. Her other friend Brittany laughed. He probably can't even afford the field trip to New York. The casual cruelty felt normal then, natural. Savannah's parents had taught her, intentionally or not, that success was reserved for people like them. People from the right neighborhoods, the right families, the right circles. You have to protect your reputation, her mother often said over dinner at their country club. The company you keep reflects on you. Her father would nod, cutting his steak. Birds of a feather, Savannah. You don't see eagles flying with pigeons. Savannah absorbed these lessons without question. She genuinely believed she wasn't being mean. She was simply acknowledging reality. The world had hierarchies for a reason. Some people belonged at the top, others didn't. Darius made the mistake of being smart. Too smart. He answered questions Savannah fumbled in AP history, solved equations faster than her in calculus, and won a prestigious science fair that Savannah had been expected to dominate. Each achievement felt like a personal affront. This kid from Englewood outshining her in the school her family had donated a building to. Then came the moment that changed everything. Spring of junior year, Darius approached her after school near the parking lot where Savannah stood with her friends beside her new BMW, a birthday gift from her parents. "Hey, Savannah," he'd said, his voice nervous but hopeful. "I was wondering, would you want to go to prom with me?" The question hung in the air like something absurd, impossible. Savannah's friends went silent, waiting to see how she'd respond. And Savannah, raised to believe some people simply didn't deserve consideration, laughed. Not a polite decline. A laugh, sharp and dismissive and cruel. "Are you serious right now?" she'd said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "You really thought I'd go to prom with you?" That moment became the catalyst for everything that followed. And 10 years later, as Savannah stood frozen in Darius Pierce's office, she finally understood the weight of casual cruelty. The memory of what happened next still made Savannah's stomach turn, even a decade later. But in that moment, 16 years old, surrounded by her friends, drunk on social power, she'd felt nothing but satisfaction. After laughing at Darius's prom invitation, Savannah hadn't stopped there. She'd turned to her friends, voice dripping with mock confusion. "Did he really just ask me to prom? Like, actually?" Paige had giggled. "That's bold." "Bold?" Savannah repeated, turning back to Darius, whose face had already begun shutting down, walls going up. "It's delusional. Darius, I don't know what made you think we're on the same level, but we're not. I'm going to prom with someone from my world, someone who actually fits," Brittany added helpfully. "Maybe try asking someone more realistic?" A small crowd had gathered, students heading to their cars, some watching with uncomfortable expressions, others barely hiding their amusement. Darius stood there, his dark eyes no longer hopeful but carefully blank, his jaw tight. "You should probably stick to people who get you," Savannah continued, her tone almost gentle, like she was doing him a favor. "People from where you're from. It's just easier that way, you know. Less awkward." Darius's voice came out steady, despite everything. "Got it. My mistake." He walked away without another word, shoulders straight, refusing to give them the satisfaction of seeing him break. But Savannah saw the tension in his posture, the way his hands clenched briefly before relaxing. Her boyfriend at the time, Austin, a lacrosse player whose father owned half of downtown Chicago, threw an arm around Savannah's shoulders. "That was brutal," Savannah shrugged, climbing into her BMW. "Someone needed to be honest with him. He'll thank me later for not wasting his time." The incident became school gossip within hours. By the next day, Darius had become a punchline. Other students whispered when he passed. Some laughed openly. Savannah's friends made jokes about knowing your place and staying in your lane. Savannah didn't feel guilty. She felt nothing, or maybe she felt justified. In her world, she'd simply enforced natural social boundaries, protected herself from an uncomfortable situation. What she didn't see was Darius eating lunch alone every day after that, no longer reading his programming books but staring at nothing. She didn't see him withdraw from class discussions, no longer raising his hand even when he knew the answers. She didn't see him leaving school immediately after final bell instead of staying for study groups. And she definitely didn't see him at night, sitting at the small desk in his grandmother's Englewood apartment, channeling his humiliation into code, building apps and programs with the kind of focus that only comes from proving the world wrong. Savannah had dismissed him as irrelevant. 10 years later, standing in his corner office, she realized how catastrophically wrong she'd been. Darius Pierce walked into his office with the kind of quiet authority that came from building an empire against impossible odds. At 28, he stood 6 feet tall, his dark brown skin impeccable, his black hair cut close, his presence filling the room without arrogance. He wore his success the way Savannah wore her privilege, naturally, comfortably, but his had been earned through brilliance and relentless work. He looked at Savannah, and for a brief moment, something flickered in his dark eyes. Recognition. Then it was gone, replaced by professional neutrality. "Ms. Mitchell," he said, his deep voice smooth and controlled. "Please, have a seat." Savannah's legs moved mechanically toward the chair across from his desk. Her mind raced, trying to reconcile the scholarship kid from Englewood with the man standing before her. How? How had Darius gone from rejected prom date to CEO while she was still climbing corporate ladders? Darius sat behind his desk, opening a file on his tablet. "Your portfolio is impressive. Northwestern, 5 years at Sterling Creative, strong client results. On paper, you're exactly what we need for senior creative director." Savannah's throat felt dry. "Thank you, but I don't hire based on credentials alone," Darius continued, his tone even, his eyes meeting hers directly. "I hire based on character. How someone treats people matters more to me than where they went to school, or who their parents know." He paused, letting the words land. "So I have a question for you, Savannah. Do you remember Lakeview Prep?" The question felt like a physical blow. Savannah's heart hammered. Every instinct screamed to lie, to pretend, to play dumb. But Darius's steady gaze told her he already knew the answer. "Yes," she whispered. "I remember. Do you remember me?" Savannah's hands gripped the armrests. "Yes, I remember you." Darius nodded slowly, as if confirming something he'd already known. "Good, because I remember you very clearly. I remember standing in that parking lot, taking a chance, asking you to prom, and I remember you laughing in my face like I'd told a joke." Savannah wanted to disappear into the floor. "I remember you telling me I should stick to my own kind," Darius continued, his voice still calm, but with an edge now. "I remember your friends making jokes for weeks. I remember feeling like I was less than human because I came from Englewood instead of Winnetka." "Darius, I was 16, Savannah started. He held up a hand. "I'm not finished. Do you know what I did after that day? I stopped participating in class, stopped joining clubs, stopped believing I deserved to be there. For 6 months, I almost gave up on everything because one person, you, convinced me I didn't belong." Savannah's eyes stung with tears she didn't deserve to cry. Darius leaned forward. "But here's what's interesting. Eventually, I realized something. You didn't reject me because I wasn't good enough. You rejected me because you were scared. Scared that someone from the wrong neighborhood might actually be your equal, or worse, better than you." He stood, walking to the window with his back to her. "So here we are, Savannah. 10 years later, you need something from me. You're sitting in my company, asking for a position in my world, and I have to decide whether the person who once told me I wasn't worthy of basic human dignity deserves a chance now." The silence stretched unbearably. Finally, Darius turned around. "This interview isn't over. It's just beginning. And before we're done, you're going to understand exactly what you did. Then you'll decide if you even want to work here." Savannah sat in her Lincoln Park apartment that night, staring at nothing. Darius had dismissed her after 20 minutes with a cold, "We'll be in touch," and she'd driven home in a fog, barely remembering the route. Now she sat on her expensive couch in her expensive apartment, surrounded by the trappings of success that suddenly felt meaningless. Her phone kept buzzing, Riley asking how the interview went, her mother wanting details about this tech company. But Savannah couldn't bring herself to answer. She kept seeing Darius's face in that parking lot. 16 years old, hopeful, vulnerable, and she kept hearing her own voice, sharp with cruelty. "You really thought I'd go to prom with you?" The shame was suffocating. Savannah had spent a decade telling herself that high school didn't matter, that everyone was cruel as teenagers, that she'd grown past all that. But Darius's words echoed in her mind. For 6 months, I almost gave up on everything. She'd done that. She'd made another human being question his worth because he came from a different neighborhood. Her phone rang. Her mother? Savannah almost didn't answer, but old habits died hard. "Sweetheart, how did it go?" Savannah's voice came out flat. "It's complicated." "Complicated how? Did they offer you the position?" "Mom, the CEO is someone I went to high school with. Someone I wasn't kind to." Victoria Mitchell's tone shifted immediately. "Savannah, don't tell me he's holding teenage behavior against you. That's completely unprofessional. You should report that." "Mom, I was cruel to him." Teenagers are cruel to each other. That's adolescence. If this man can't separate business from personal grudges, that's a character flaw on his part, not yours. Her mother's voice gained that familiar edge of righteous indignation. "Honestly, successful people move on. They don't dwell on ancient history." Savannah closed her eyes. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You've worked too hard to let someone's petty vendetta derail your career. There are other companies, Savannah. Better companies run by professionals who don't play games." After hanging up, Savannah sat in silence. Her mother had offered exactly what she'd expected. A narrative where Savannah was the victim, where Darius was unprofessional, where the past didn't matter. It would be so easy to accept that story. To tell herself Darius was being unreasonable, that she didn't owe him anything, that high school was irrelevant. But Savannah kept remembering something else Darius had said. "You rejected me because you were scared." Was that true? Had she been scared? Scared that this kid from Englewood with his brilliant mind and quiet confidence might actually be her equal. For the first time in her life, Savannah questioned the foundation of everything she'd been taught, and the doubt felt like drowning in a lake with no shore in sight. CTA, hello the Shade of Love family. So happy you're here. Before we jump into the next part of the story, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your country and state in the comments. Also, how's the story been so far? We love reading your thoughts. Yes, every single comment. And it really keeps us motivated. Let's aim for 50 comments on this video. Think we can hit it? Your support means the world. So don't forget to comment, share, and keep the energy flowing. 4 days later, an email appeared in Savannah's inbox. "Ms. Mitchell, Mr. Pierce requests a second meeting. Saturday, 10 a.m., casual attire. Address, 3847 S. Wabash Avenue." Savannah stared at the South Side address, her stomach twisting. That wasn't Pierce Industries' office. That was Englewood. Darius wanted her to come to his old neighborhood. Saturday morning, Savannah drove south in her Audi, watching the city transform. The gleaming towers of downtown gave way to modest brick buildings, corner stores, and community centers. She parked in front of a renovated building with a sign reading, Pierce Future Tech Center. Inside, she found Darius talking to a young black man, maybe 26, wearing jeans and a hoodie with the center's logo. They stood in a large room filled with teenagers hunched over brand new computers, working intently. "Yo, D, these kids are already coding better than me," the young man laughed. "You see what Imani built yesterday? A whole app in 3 hours. Darius grinned, actually grinned, something Savannah hadn't seen. "That's because Imani's got what you don't, Marcus. Discipline." Marcus clutched his chest dramatically. "Man, that hurt." Darius noticed Savannah, and his expression shifted back to neutral. "Savannah, this is Marcus Coleman. He runs the day-to-day operations here. Marcus, this is Savannah Mitchell." Marcus extended his hand warmly. "Nice to meet you. Let me show you around." Savannah followed Marcus through the center, past rooms filled with cutting-edge technology, classrooms where volunteers taught coding and digital design, and a small library stocked with tech books and college prep materials. "Darius built this place 5 years ago," Marcus explained, pride evident in his voice. "Free tech education for any kid from the South Side who wants it. We've sent 47 students to college on full scholarships. Another 60 are working in tech jobs they got through our placement program." A teenage girl, maybe 16, approached Marcus. "Mr. Coleman, I finished the web design module." Marcus reviewed her work on a nearby computer. "Imani, this is fire. Look at this navigation structure." He gestured to Savannah. "This young lady taught herself HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in 6 months. 6 months. Imani beamed. Savannah felt something crack inside her chest. After the tour, Marcus led Savannah to a small office where Darius sat reviewing applications. Marcus excused himself, leaving them alone. "Why did you bring me here?" Savannah asked. Darius looked up. "Because I wanted you to see what you almost destroyed. When you humiliated me at Lakeview, I quit believing I deserved success. I stopped trying. If it wasn't for my grandmother refusing to let me give up, I would have dropped out." He stood, gesturing toward the center beyond his office. "Every kid out there has been told they don't belong, that they're not good enough, that their neighborhood defines their potential, and I refuse to let them believe it." Darius walked to the window overlooking the computer lab. "Marcus grew up 3 blocks from here, spent 2 years in juvie for stupid choices. Now he's changing lives. Imani's mother works 3 jobs. But Imani's going to MIT next year with a full ride." Savannah's voice cracked. "Darius, I didn't bring you here for an apology," he interrupted. "I brought you here so you could see that people like me, people you dismissed as unworthy, are actually the ones building real things, creating real change, while people like you coast on family connections." The words stung because they were true. That evening, Savannah made the mistake of meeting her friends for dinner at their usual spot in River North. Riley, Paige, and Brittany sat around an expensive table, sipping cocktails and gossiping about their lives. Savannah had hoped the familiar environment might ease her confusion. Instead, it amplified it. "So you've been ghosting us," Riley said, half joking. "What's going on with that job?" Savannah hesitated. "It's complicated. The CEO is someone from high school." Paige's eyes lit up. "Wait, someone we know?" "Darius Pierce." The name landed like a stone. Brittany's face twisted in confusion. "The scholarship kid? From Englewood?" "He's not a scholarship kid anymore," Savannah said quietly. "He's a self-made tech CEO worth millions." Riley laughed, though it sounded forced. "Okay, good for him, I guess. But why is your job interview complicated?" Savannah took a breath. "Because I was cruel to him in high school. Really cruel. And now he's deciding whether to hire me." The table went silent for a beat. Then Paige spoke, her tone careful. "Savannah, you were 16. Everyone was mean in high school. If he's holding that against you now, that's honestly petty." "Is it though?" Savannah shot back. "I humiliated him in front of the entire school. I told him he should stay with his own kind. I made him feel worthless." Brittany waved her hand dismissively. "Okay, but that was 10 years ago. He clearly did fine. Look at him now. If anything, you probably motivated him." Savannah stared at her former friend, seeing her, really seeing her, for the first time. "You think I did him a favor? By telling him he wasn't good enough to take me to prom because he came from the wrong neighborhood?" "That's not what Brittany started. "That's exactly what you meant," Savannah interrupted. "And it's exactly what I told myself for years, that I was just being honest, that the world has natural hierarchies, that some people belong and others don't." Riley leaned forward, her voice taking on that careful tone people use when they think you're overreacting. "Savannah, babe, I think this guy is messing with your head. He's probably trying to make you feel guilty so he can have power over you. It's manipulative. Or," Savannah said slowly, "he's trying to show me that I was wrong, that my entire worldview was wrong." Paige exchanged a glance with the others. "You sound like you've been brainwashed or something. This is weird, Savannah. You're letting some guy from high school, who clearly has issues, make you question yourself." Savannah stood abruptly, grabbing her purse. "The problem is I never questioned myself. Not once. I just accepted that people like me were better than people like Darius because of where we came from. And you're all still doing it. Right now." "That's not fair," Riley began. "Isn't it? You called him some guy, like he's nobody. You suggested he's manipulating me instead of considering that maybe, just maybe, I actually did something wrong that I need to make right." Savannah left cash on the table and walked out, leaving her friends staring after her in shocked silence. Outside, the cool Chicago air hit her face. Her phone buzzed immediately. Riley texting, "You're overreacting. Call me when you calm down." But Savannah didn't feel like she was overreacting. She felt like she was finally reacting appropriately, 10 years too late. Savannah did something she never thought she'd have the courage to do. She emailed Darius directly, asking if they could talk. Not about the job, just talk. He responded with an address, a small coffee shop in Bronzeville, nowhere near either of their usual territories. Neutral ground. When Savannah arrived, Darius was already there, wearing jeans and a simple black Henley, looking more human and less CEO. He sat at a corner table with 2 coffees already ordered. "I got you a latte," he said as she sat down. "You always ordered those at the Lakeview coffee cart." The fact that he remembered such a small detail from 10 years ago made Savannah's chest tighten. "You remember that?" "I remember everything about that year," Darius said simply. "Hard to forget." Savannah wrapped her hands around the warm cup. "I don't know how to start this conversation." "Then just be honest." "I'm sorry." The words came out broken. "I'm so sorry for what I did to you. There's no excuse. I was cruel, and you didn't deserve any of it." Darius studied her, his dark eyes unreadable. "Do you know what the worst part was? It wasn't the rejection. I could have handled you not wanting to go to prom with me. It was how you rejected me, like I was so far beneath you that the idea was laughable." Savannah's vision blurred with tears. "I know. Do you, though?" Darius leaned forward. "Because here's what I need you to understand, Savannah. My grandmother raised me in a 1-bedroom apartment after my parents died in a house fire when I was 8. She worked as a school custodian so I could eat and have clothes. When I got into Lakeview on scholarship, she cried because she thought it meant I'd have opportunities she never had." Savannah could barely breathe. "Instead, I learned that no matter how smart I was, no matter how hard I worked, people like you would always see me as less, as something to be tolerated at best, mocked at worst." Darius's voice remained steady, but emotion flickered in his eyes. "After you rejected me, I started believing you were right, that I didn't belong, that I should stop trying. Darius, my grandmother found me one night, staring at college brochures I'd thrown in the trash. She asked why, and I told her there was no point, that people like me didn't get to have those dreams." He paused. "She slapped me. Only time she ever hit me. Then she said, 'Baby, some people can't see your worth. That's their blindness, not your inadequacy.'" Savannah wiped her eyes, mascara probably running, not caring. "She was right. She was," Darius agreed. "But it took me years to believe it. Years I spent proving I was worthy instead of just knowing I was." "I'm sorry," Savannah whispered again, knowing the words could never be enough. Darius was quiet for a long moment. "Here's what I need to know. Do you understand why what you did was wrong? Not just because it hurt me, but because it represented a system that tells kids from neighborhoods like mine that they're less valuable than kids from neighborhoods like yours?" Savannah met his eyes. "Yes, I see it now, and I hate who I was." "Good, because hating who you were is the first step to becoming someone better." Darius pulled out his phone, typing something. "I'm going to offer you a choice. I'll hire you for the position, but you have to spend 6 months volunteering at the Future Tech Center, teaching, mentoring, actually seeing these kids as human beings. If you can do that, genuinely do that, then maybe you'll become someone worth having on my team." Savannah's breath caught. "You'd still hire me?" "I don't want to be like you were, Savannah. I don't want to judge people by their worst moments. Everyone deserves a chance to change." He stood. "The question is, do you actually want to?" "Yes," Savannah said without hesitation. "Whatever it takes." Savannah started at the Future Tech Center the following week. Marcus greeted her warmly but with obvious skepticism, and the teenagers were even less welcoming. A 17-year-old named Jamal asked bluntly on her first day, "Why are you here? You don't look like you from around here." "I'm here to learn," Savannah answered honestly. Over the following weeks, Savannah showed up every Tuesday and Thursday evening, helping with coding tutorials, reviewing college essays, and slowly earning trust. Imani eventually opened up about her mother's 3 jobs and their eviction struggles. Jamal shared his dream of becoming a game designer, despite his school counselor telling him to be more realistic. Their dreams weren't smaller than Savannah's had been at their age. They were just forced to fight harder to reach them. One evening, Marcus pulled Savannah aside after class. "I gotta be real with you. I thought you'd quit after 2 weeks. Rich people from Lincoln Park don't usually last in Inglewood, but you're showing up, and that matters." Savannah smiled slightly. "I owe someone a debt. He told me about your history," Marcus said. "And you know what? I respect him for giving you this chance. A lot of people wouldn't." The breaking point came during a field trip Marcus organized to a tech conference downtown. Savannah rode in the van with 8 students, listening to their excitement about meeting real software engineers and game developers. But when they arrived at the hotel hosting the conference, security stopped them at the entrance. "This event is for registered attendees only," the guard said, his eyes scanning the group with suspicion, despite Marcus showing confirmation emails. "We are registered," Marcus said patiently. "Youth program from Pierce Future Tech Center. We have 8 student tickets and 2 adult tickets." The guard's expression remained cold. "I need to verify that with my supervisor." Savannah watched Marcus maintain composure while being treated like a criminal. She watched the students' excitement dim, replaced by weary resignation. This was their normal, being questioned, doubted, treated as if they didn't belong even when they'd followed every rule. Something inside Savannah snapped. "Excuse me." She stepped forward, her voice sharp with authority. "I'm Savannah Mitchell, and I'm with this group. We have registered tickets with confirmation numbers. What exactly needs verification?" The guard looked at Savannah, white, well-dressed, confident, and his entire demeanor shifted. "Oh, I'm sure it's fine, ma'am. Let me just scan these quickly." Just like that, they were waved through. Marcus's eyes met Savannah's, and she saw the exhausted gratitude there. He dealt with this constantly. So did Darius. So did every black person she'd ever dismissed as not fitting. That night, Savannah called Darius. "I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "Today I watched Marcus get treated like a criminal for trying to take kids to a conference we were registered for, and the only reason we got in easily was because I, a white woman, stepped forward. And I'm furious." There was a pause. Then Darius said quietly, "Good. Being angry means you're awake. What matters is what you do with that anger." Savannah knew exactly what she needed to do with it. She needed to use every advantage she'd been born with, her race, her connections, her privilege, not to keep people out, but to tear down the barriers that kept talented people like Darius, Marcus, and these kids from getting opportunities they deserved. 3 months into volunteering, Savannah received an invitation to her father's annual corporate mixer, an exclusive event where Chicago's business elite networked over expensive whiskey and self-congratulation. She almost declined, but something pushed her to attend. She needed to face her old world with new eyes. The event was at the Chicago Athletic Association, all dark wood and leather, old money and older traditions. Savannah mingled, feeling like she was observing a foreign culture. Then she overheard a conversation near the bar that made her blood run cold. Her father stood with 2 other executives, discussing hiring practices. "We interviewed a candidate from DePaul," one man said, grimacing. "Solid resume, but just didn't have the polish. Wrong background." Her father nodded knowingly. "Cultural fit is crucial. Can't just hire anyone." The third executive chuckled. "Exactly. We need people who understand how business really works. People from the right schools, right families." Savannah's hands clenched. She'd heard these conversations her entire life. She'd participated in them. But now she heard what was really being said. "We only want people who look like us, think like us, come from where we come from." She thought of Jamal's coding skills, Imani's determination, Marcus's leadership. None of them would pass her father's cultural fit test, not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked the right last names and zip codes. Savannah walked over. "Dad, can I talk to you?" Richard Mitchell's face lit up. "Savannah! Gentlemen, my daughter? She's interviewing at some tech company downtown." "Actually, I've been volunteering," Savannah said, "at a tech education center in Englewood, teaching coding to Southside kids." Her father's smile faltered slightly. "That's charitable of you." "It's not charity," Savannah continued, her voice steady. "These kids are more talented and driven than half the legacy admissions we're hiring. But they'll never get opportunities because people like us decide they don't have the right cultural fit." One of the executives laughed uncomfortably. "Savannah, it's not that simple." "Actually, it is exactly that simple," she interrupted. "We hire people who remind us of ourselves. We invest in people from our neighborhoods, our clubs, our schools. Then we call it meritocracy, when it's really just nepotism with better branding." Her father's expression hardened. "Savannah, you're being inappropriate." "Am I? Tell me, Dad, when's the last time you interviewed someone from a public university? Someone who worked their way through school? Someone who doesn't play golf at your country club?" "That's enough," Richard said sharply. "You're right. It is enough." Savannah set her untouched drink on the bar. "I'm done pretending this is normal. I'm done acting like we're better than other people just because we were born into the right families." She walked toward the exit, her father calling after her. "Savannah Mitchell, you get back here right now!" But Savannah kept walking, Outside, she took her first full breath in what felt like hours. Her phone rang immediately. Her father. She declined the call, then she called Darius. "I need to tell you something." "What's up?" "That job offer. I want it. Not because I need it for my resume, but because I want to work for a company that actually believes talent exists everywhere, that invests in people based on their potential, not their pedigree." Darius was quiet for a moment. "You finished your 6 months?" "Not yet, but I'm not doing this just to fulfill a requirement anymore. I'm doing it because it matters. Because those kids matter, and I want to help build something that proves people like my father wrong." She heard the smile in Darius's voice. "Come by the office Monday morning. Let's talk about your role." "Darius?" "Yeah, thank you for not giving up on me when you had every reason to." There was a long pause. Then he said softly, "Everybody deserves a chance to change. Savannah, even you. Site. Hello, the Shade of Love family. So happy you're here. Before we jump into the next part of the story, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your country and state in the comments. Also, how's the story been so far? We love reading your thoughts. Yes, every single comment, and it really keeps us motivated. Let's aim for 50 comments on this video. Think we can hit it? Your support means the world, so don't forget to comment, share, and keep the energy flowing. Savannah's first official day at Pierce Industries started with a company-wide meeting. Darius introduced her as the new senior creative director, and she felt curious eyes assessing her. Some employees knew pieces of her story. Others just saw another hire. 3 weeks into the job, an opportunity arose that would define Savannah's transformation publicly. Pierce Industries was invited to speak on a panel at a major business conference downtown. The topic: Building Inclusive Teams in Corporate America. Darius was scheduled to speak, but a family emergency required him to fly to Texas at the last minute. "Savannah," he called her into his office, "I need you to take my place on that panel tomorrow." Her stomach dropped. "Me? Darius, I don't think I'm the right person." "You're exactly the right person, because you've lived on both sides of this issue." His dark eyes were serious. "Tell your truth, that's all I'm asking." The conference room was packed with business executives, HR directors, and corporate leaders, Savannah's former peers. She sat on stage beside 3 other panelists, her hands sweating. The moderator asked the first question: "How do we create truly diverse workplaces?" The other panelists gave polished corporate answers about diversity initiatives and unconscious bias training. Safe answers. Performative answers. Then the moderator turned to Savannah. "Ms. Mitchell, what's your perspective?" Savannah took a breath. "I think we need to start by admitting that most of us in this room, myself very much included, have built our careers in systems designed to exclude people. We talk about diversity like it's a HR metric when it should be about basic human dignity." The room went quiet. Savannah continued. "I grew up in Winnetka. I went to elite schools, got every advantage imaginable, and I used those advantages to hurt someone who had none of them. I humiliated a black student in high school because I genuinely believed he didn't belong in my world." She could see people shifting uncomfortably. Some pulled out phones. Others leaned forward. "That student is now my boss. He's the CEO of Pierce Industries, and he gave me a chance I didn't deserve because he believes people can change. But here's what I learned through that process. Real inclusion isn't about diversity photos on your website. It's about confronting the biases we carry, the privileges we've never questioned, and the systems we benefit from." A hand shot up. A white woman in an expensive suit. "Are you suggesting we should feel guilty for our success?" Savannah met her eyes. "No. I'm suggesting we should be honest about how we got it. My college acceptance wasn't just about my grades. It was about my parents' donations and connections. My first job wasn't just about my resume. It was about my father's network. And once I acknowledged that, I could start using those advantages to open doors instead of keeping them closed." After the panel, Savannah's phone exploded with messages. Some praised her honesty. Others, including her father, sent scathing texts calling her speech a betrayal of the family. Riley texted, "You embarrassed yourself and everyone who knows you." Savannah deleted it without responding. She didn't need Riley's approval anymore. Darius called that evening from Texas. "I heard about the panel. I hope I didn't overstep." "Savannah, you were perfect, honest, brave." He paused. "I'm proud of you." Those 4 words meant more than any job title ever could. 6 months later, Savannah stood in the Pierce Future Tech Center watching Imani present her final project to a room full of scholarship committee members. The girl who'd barely spoken to Savannah at first now commanded the room with confidence, her voice clear and proud as she demonstrated the education app she'd built from scratch. Marcus stood beside Savannah, arms crossed, grinning wide. That girl's something special. They all are, Savannah agreed, watching the room full of teenagers she'd come to know and care about deeply. After the presentation, Darius arrived, dressed casually in jeans and a hoodie, having driven straight from a board meeting. Imani ran to him, hugging him tight. "Mr. Pierce, did you see? Did you see my app?" Darius laughed, lifting her off the ground briefly. "I saw it. You're going to change the world, Imani. MIT doesn't know what's about to hit them." As the students celebrated with pizza, Darius and Savannah stepped outside into the warm Chicago evening. The sun was setting, painting the Englewood sky in shades of orange and gold. "I've been thinking about that day in your office," Savannah said, "when you stopped my interview mid-sentence." Darius smiled slightly. "I was angrier than I showed. You had every right to be. You could have destroyed me that day, humiliated me publicly the way I humiliated you." "I thought about it," Darius admitted, "for about 10 seconds. But then I realized that wouldn't heal anything. Revenge doesn't fix pain. Change does." Savannah turned to face him. "I don't think I've properly thanked you. Not just for the job, but for forcing me to see the truth. You could have just rejected me and moved on. Instead, you gave me a mirror." "You did the hard part," Darius said. "You looked in it. Most people don't." They stood there for a moment. Two people who'd started as victim and oppressor, now connected by growth and transformation. "Can I ask you something?" Savannah's voice was tentative. "Do you forgive me?" Darius considered the question carefully. "I'm getting there. Forgiveness isn't a light switch, Savannah. It's a process. But I see who you're becoming, and I respect it." Savannah nodded, tears threatening. "That's more than I deserve. Maybe. But we don't always get what we deserve. Sometimes we get what we need." Darius smiled. "You needed to be challenged. I needed to see that people can actually change. So maybe this worked out exactly how it was supposed to." Marcus called from the doorway. "Yo, Jamal wants to show y'all something." They walked back inside together. Not quite friends, but something more complex and real. Savannah had spent her life believing she was entitled to success, respect, and space. Now she understood those things had to be earned through character, not circumstance. She'd lost her old world, the comfortable bubble of privilege and unchallenged beliefs. But she'd gained something far more valuable, the ability to see people as they truly were, not as society had taught her to categorize them. As Savannah watched Darius interact with the students, saw the genuine investment and love in his eyes, she understood the lesson completely. Power wasn't about keeping people out. It was about pulling people up. And for the first time in her life, Savannah was using her power the right way. The girl who'd broken Darius's heart at 16 had become the woman who now fought alongside him. Not through grand gestures or dramatic apologies, but through consistent action, humble learning, and genuine transformation. Some stories didn't have neat endings. They had new beginnings. This was theirs.